Hello everyone, welcome to this webinar today for ESS BIZTOOLS members. My apologies for the delays in getting started. We just had a couple of technical issues. Using ESS BIZTOOLS to offer Chief Financial Officer services to your clients. That's the theme for today's webinar. If you have any questions, can you please send me a note through chat? Or alternatively, if you're watching this later on in your own time or at a time that suits the whole team, you could send me an email, peter@essbiztools.com.au. Thank you for your support of ESS BIZTOOLS and ESS BizGrants. We do appreciate it. So what are the issues as we hopefully approach the end of COVID-19? Although I'm a little bit nervous following those protest marches last week. I hope all the good work that's been done to contain COVID-19 coronavirus in Australia hasn't been undone. So some of the issues that your clients are going to have, I think, include cash flow. Will the business have sufficient funding? I think it's an enormous issue for small businesses and medium-sized enterprises. Adapting to new conditions. I don't think there's much doubt at all that business conditions post 30 September 2020 are going to be significantly different to what they were in January and beginning of February 2020. Challenges for you as accountants to provide services that the market needs. I don't think you can just rely on preparing annual accounts, taxation returns, and for some of your clients, a submission to their banks as the ongoing service that you provide. And identifying opportunities as if you were the Chief Financial Officer for your clients. Because if you were, you would be participating in the leadership team meetings because you'd be part of the leadership. And you would be identifying opportunities that you've observed. So let's look at cash flow. I think it's very important that now, early in June, you start talking to your clients about the preparation of realistic three-way finance forecasts for the next 2 to 3 years. Operational budgets for each business activity, not just all lumped together overall, do them separately so that individual management teams and foremen can get their own budget. Cash flow forecasts. And perhaps some playing around with cash flow forecasts is going to be necessary to ascertain where the company's likely to go. And the third part of that is, of course, the projected balance sheets, which is ensuring that all the forecasts have been implemented accurately. I think it's very important for you to consider the working capital investment. What is the investment in debtors? What is the debtors' days outstanding? Could improvements be made? Play the devil's advocate. What would happen if for the debtors' days outstanding blew out by a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks? What would that do to the business's cash flow? And where would they get funding from? Investment in inventory is also a huge problem. And inventory is going to have to be closely monitored, I think, as we hopefully trade out of these issues. Because who's to say that the customers are going to come back and want to purchase exactly the stock that your clients currently got in store or what they're proposing to purchase? Some customers may have changed their allegiances and their preferences. Will the business have sufficient funding? And bear in mind that the whole theme today is, can you offer a Chief Financial Officer service? And most of the items I'm going to talk about do not include any mention of the word taxation. So will your clients have sufficient funding? There is an opportunity at present, which is supposed to be there to the 30th of September, unless all the money's lent in the meantime, for the coronavirus SME guarantee loans. A loan of up to $250,000 for 3 years with no security having to be supplied by your client. The federal government is guaranteeing 50% of the loan. Obviously, the banks are taking on the other 50%. I do understand that at least one bank is asking for personal guarantees from the borrowers or the directors of companies who are borrowing. To be able to negotiate a coronavirus SME guarantee loan, you're going to be able to produce for your client a business plan, budgets and cash flow forecasts for 3 years, financial accounts for 2018-19 and interim financial accounts for this year to March or April, or maybe even May. Can the business secure loan funds from directors and shareholders if they need additional finance in this period going forward? I think it's going to be very difficult to borrow more money off the banks in this period as we're going forward, especially once we get beyond 30 September, because the banks have already made enormous contributions to this financing arrangement around Australia. I don't think they're going to be very happy about wanting to respond to your requests or your client's requests for some additional loans. Now's the time to negotiate those things with the banks. Perhaps you need to be seriously thinking about capital raising. Section 708 of the Corporations Act. A company can raise up to $2 million in 12 months, but from only 20 investors. And you need to have your eyes on the 50 shareholder limit rules that applies to a strictly private company. But it's there, and it's a great way to raise some money. Crowdsource funding equity raising. Around $40 million has been raised so far in Australia utilising this new type of company. These companies can raise up to $5 million in a 12-month period and then go back to the market and do it again the following year if they like. There are rules, very strict rules, to do with crowdsource funding intermediaries who have been appointed by ASIC to supervise a significant amount of this operation as, in effect, the deputy sheriff for ASIC. But also they are promoters because they've assembled thousands of email addresses of people who have expressed interest in investing in Australian companies. So your clients need to understand how that works. And incidentally, so do you. And within ESS BIZTOOLS, you have packages on crowdsource funding and the other matters we're talking about today. And if you're acting for a client that's very new or has a very young company, turnover under $200,000, expenditure under $1 million, under 3 years of age, who have invented a new product, process or service, then you might be able to go down the path of having them qualify as an early stage innovation company and raising capital there. Why? Because there's some attraction for investors to invest in an early stage innovation company because they receive a tax offset and potentially could avoid capital gains tax on that investment if they hold the investment for more than 12 months. And within ESS BIZTOOLS, there's a product package taking you right through the process of utilizing early stage innovation company. Let's look at the adaptation to new conditions. I think one of the first things you should be doing with your clients now in June is planning the 2000/21 financial year. Develop a strategic plan which will guide them to navigate out of COVID-19 challenges. And there's going to be plenty of challenges at the end of September, going into October, November, December. And hopefully there's not a second wave of this virus, because if there is, it's going to impose tremendous problems on everyone as we go forward. I think one of the key things you should be suggesting to your client is that you implement the concept of a business review meeting, monthly or quarterly, preferably monthly, and that you should be there, that because you're managing this process as the project manager, bringing it all together, exactly what you would do if you were the CFO within a public company. Another role that I think you need to look at is making sure the company has updated its business risk analysis to cover a concept of coronavirus. Writing down what they've learned from this problem so that next time they have a system in place to know what to do. Because unfortunately, I suspect there will be a next time, and it won't be that far away. But other risks also need to be reviewed, particularly the personal property securities register, which you've got a full product package in your system. You also have on business risks. I think it's an appropriate time when you've completed the budgets to then go to the product packages that are contained within ESS BIZTOOLS that enable you to check the retail pricing strategy to see whether it's going to achieve the targeted net profit. And the same with the professional fee charge out rates for your own firm or for your clients who are solicitors or architects or engineers, professional services, medical practitioners. And also the charge out rates that your tradies are using. Or they just pick out a figure. Or do they think last year's figure is going to be right? It needs to be subjected to some due diligence review. And within ESS BIZTOOLS, you have the product package which will guide you through that process. Research and development. I suspect that many of your clients, whilst they've been working from home, have sat back and thought about some of the issues to do with their business, and they may have been working on their computers or in their backyard shed on some piece of machinery, and they may have started a research and development activity. Why not ask them if they have? Raise the subject of research and development. There's a product package within ESS BIZTOOLS on research and development, which will ensure that they document the whole journey for a particular project in the proper way so that they can maximize their chances of obtaining the full research and development rebate from that work. And obviously make sure that if they're currently doing those activities in a partnership or sole trader, that they convert into a company if this is a serious project, so that they can obtain the research and development incentive rebate. And what could lead from there with research and development? Perhaps they'll be interested then in trying to apply for a grant that I think will continue okay into the next 12 months, 2 years, and that's the Accelerating Commercialization Grant. This is a very important grant, a grant of up to $1 million on a 50-50 basis that your clients could apply for to help to commercialize their research and development activity. So let's look now at the challenges facing accountants to provide services that I believe, and so do many other commentators believe, that the market needs. I think SMEs need more than taxation advice. And I think that's one thing that's been clearly proven through this crisis. Your SMEs have been turning to you. I would be nurturing that, encouraging that to continue. Don't go telling them now to go back to doing what you used to do, because I think they've jumped out of the box and they've realized that you can do more work for them. Or if they're dissatisfied with that effort, they might now be looking around for someone else that can do more work for them. I think you should be encouraging them to talk to you. Have a conversation with your clients. Sit down and document what their needs are. And then clearly articulate to them the services that you can offer them to ensure that their businesses survive and grow. I've probably said that, but proactively then submit your proposal to them. I think it's important that you're proactive in this, not reactive. Try to get in before they raise it. If they raise it, that's fantastic. But I think you'd earn more brownie points if you raised it with your clients first and then followed through and then implement. It's going to be easy to have these discussions, even though you might think they're a bit difficult sitting there at present. But the real challenge for everyone then is how you implement, especially when you're wearing a consultant's type hat. And that's what you're going to be doing as the Chief Financial Officer. You're broadening your range of services. Your diary management then becomes very important, because you're going to be part of the leadership team of your clients. I think you need to encourage your clients to change your status, to change you from their minds of thinking of you as being a tax accountant. And that's what many of your clients think about chartered accountants and public accountants that they meet, to a new title, Chief Financial Officer. And I think you should be making that very clear on everything that you produce. Your letterhead, your website, videos, seminars that you present for your clients, that you describe yourself as offering Chief Financial Officer services. Not every client's going to buy, but this is your opportunity to emphasize this to your clients. And you, as subscribers to ESS BIZTOOLS, have access to all of the product packages that I'm referring to in this presentation to you today. You can be using them this afternoon if you wish, because you have access to them within our system. I think COVID-19 has had some blessings in disguise, because the marketplace has required you to respond very quickly, very urgently, to a whole range of new material, which quite frankly goes on in lots of ways on an ongoing basis in a lot of your clients' businesses. But in the past, they may not have turned to you and asked you about it because they thought you were too busy. This time they had to turn. I know there was the taxation office connection in all this, but the budgets and cash flow forecasts and business plans requirements are not normally part of the employment or engagement brief. So COVID-19 has given the small business community a glimpse of the services you can provide. Now is your opportunity to make them permanent to your clients. I'm indebted to Andrew Geddes. Many of you remember Andrew as the outstanding coach and mentor to accountants all over Australia, one of the founders of FMRC, Financial Management Research Centre, and then a director of Smith Inc. with David Smith and Mark Holton. And for the last 9 years, he was also the chair of Green Cross Limited, a veterinary services business that started from a one-person veterinary surgery in Townsville and become an ASX top 200 company. And Andrew Geddes was their advisor throughout that complete journey. For me, even before the start in Townsville by Glenn Richards. Andrew supplied us with some material that he's using at present. He's called it, "What Opportunities Are Staring You in the Face Right Now?" And we're going to be forwarding this to you with our next members alert. So Andrew said, can you identify a profit-making opportunity for a client and then utilize the coronavirus SME guarantee loan to fund that activity? And he then gave some examples of what that activity could be. He gave a true story of a client that was a grazier who, for the first time in years, has got lush grass growing in his paddocks, but he had no cattle. So they've borrowed the $250,000 from their bank as a coronavirus SME guarantee loan, and they're buying cattle at present. They're going to fatten them up over the next 8 or 9 months and then sell them. And they hope to repeat the process and make a profit each year for the 3-year period and then give the bank back the $250,000. Could you do that? Andrew's article has a couple of other stories about a publican who decided to refurbish his facilities with one of these loans to improve the presentation. Andrew had another one of his professional firm clients that contacted their clients and asked them some questions. What do we do for you that they like, and what do they dislike? How does it make them feel? How does it make them look? Just get some feedback from clients. And they contacted 30 of their clients and got those responses and then put all the answers together and had a leadership think tank meeting to work out how they could improve those services and probably more importantly, what they could say to other people who were not currently their clients. Another key question that he asked is your website conveying current business news to your clients? Have you sat down and looked at your website? Is it talking about the coronavirus strategies? Is it talking about the challenges that businesses are going to have going forward and how your accounting firm can assist them on that journey? And I'll finish with what Andrew Geddes had in his article. What opportunities are staring you in the face right now that pertain just to your accounting firm or pertain to a group of your clients, especially if you have a group of clients in a similar industry? Is there something more that they could be doing? Could they be doing some joint promotions? Maybe there's a role for your firm to help them in that. The tourism industry has been badly affected through the drought, bushfires and floods and now coronavirus. If you've got a group of clients who are in the tourism industry, could you help coordinate activities for them? Or help them with their promotions? It's a matter of sitting down and thinking. It might be staring you in the face. So if you've got any questions on any aspect of what we've discussed today, please don't hesitate to send us an email, peter@essbiztools.com.au, telephone 1800 232 088. Thank you for your support from the team at ESS BizTools and ESS BizGrants. If you think of some questions later on, please send me an email. I'm just checking we haven't got any questions that I can see at this stage from our participants online. But if you think of any, can you send me an email, please, peter@essbiztools.com.au. And obviously that applies to those of you who I know tell me they watch these videos at other times to suit yourselves. If you've got any questions, please send us an email. And I've just come across a note that I had mentioned. The other thing that you need to be bearing in mind in your discussions with your client is the instant asset write-off was extended this morning, apparently, to the 31st of December. So your clients have got a bit longer to think about if they have got $150,000 to spare that they would like to spend on a new assets to help their business. It's now been extended to the 31st of December 2020. So thank you very much for your support of ESS BizTools. Please stay safe. Have a great day, and we'll be talking to you again in the next couple of weeks when we present our next members webinar. Have a great day. Goodbye. Goodbye.